Is it a weird motivator that I want to read different genres so that I have more variety of color in my genre blanket? I'm just going to lay there and listen to Milk Fed and probably cry and laugh at the same time. It's 5 stars. Hello besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori and we're gonna spend one of my days off together. It's Friday. We have the whole day to frolic and have fun together and read some amazing books. Also, my Patreons are controlling my day today, which is so fun. So they've decided what we're gonna do today, what beverages we're gonna drink today, what book we're gonna read, all of the fun things. One of the first decisions that they made was our drink of the day. It was between coffee or matcha, and coffee won by quite a bit. So we made a coffee for this morning. It is so delicious. We are about to take Mr. JMO, my dog, for a WALK, and we're going to be listening to a book. So let's figure out what they decided for our book. The options were to either start a new book or finish a current read. I'm currently in the middle of like 4 books. So we're being responsible and we're finishing a current read. We do get some choice in this matter. I am currently in the middle of listening to 2 audiobooks. The first is called Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. We could probably finish this book today. It's a really short audiobook. It's only 7 hours and we're already 38% of the way through. I started listening to it yesterday and I was flying through. This book definitely has, I would say, like subject matter warnings, like content warnings regarding how this main character thinks about food. She is so incredibly hyper fixated on calorie intake. A lot of it stems from her mom and the way that she was raised to think about food. And obviously food is such a big part of our every single day life. You have to eat multiple times a day, every single day. Rachel is 24, a lapsed Jew who has made calorie restriction her religion. I would think that's like the perfect sentence to encapsulate this book. She's carrying on with some not so healthy habits until her therapist encourages her to take a 90-day communication detox from her mother, who raised her on this tradition of calorie counting. And so early in the detox, she meets Miriam, who works at her favorite frozen yogurt shop. And Miriam, just being like a normal person, is like, what toppings do you want? She's like overfilling her yogurt, her frozen yogurt. And it is causing Rachel to absolutely spiral, but like not in a bad way. It's like what I think she needed at that moment in time. And so that's where I am. The story is just getting crazier and crazier from there because Rachel's thought patterns and reading from her stream of consciousness is so funny. Yesterday, I was crocheting and like catching up on some of my granny squares for my genre blanket, just laughing out loud listening to this audiobook. So anyways, that is the first option that we have. The second option is The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. This one I started last night when I was falling asleep, and it was so comforting to listen to Kelly because I usually fall asleep to Gilmore Girls. I kind of rotate it. Sometimes I listen to rain sounds. Sometimes I watch like a YouTube video to fall asleep. But most of the time I'm watching Gilmore Girls to fall asleep. And so listening to Kelly just like talk about her life and hearing her voice, it's such a like nostalgic voice for me because I started watching Gilmore Girls when I was in like high school, and it's one of my ultimate comfort shows. I've watched it, I couldn't even count how many times all the way through, like at least 15, and I'm not exaggerating, as embarrassing as that is. And that book is 7 hours as well. What if we finish 2 books in this video? So we're gonna go for a Timo's ears just perked up. We're going to do our thing. We're going to listen to an audiobook. I have my headphones that we're charging, so let's go do that. And then we have some other decisions that will come up later in the day, but we need to get our movement in first and foremost. So we just got back from our walk. We did 20 minutes and we are now at 52% in milk fed. I went with that one because I knew it was just going to be so fast and like funny to listen to. And even if I looked like a psycho walking down the street laughing at my book, at least I'm living my best life. You know what I mean? So when I'm in the mood for a lit fic, it just hits so hard. And lately I've really been craving stories that dive into a specific perspective or like really make me feel something. And lit fic, if nothing else, makes me feel so heavily towards these characters because you're just like in their life with them and they're so real and relatable that it just helps me connect with that character a lot. I want to cry for Rachel. Like, this book would be so sad if there wasn't so much comedy like packed into it. It is so freaking hysterical. I love Melissa Broder's writing style. I actually have a lot of her other works on my want to read list, and this is making me want to prioritize the rest of her work because I'm obsessed. It's crazy that she narrates this book as well. The author narrates this book, and she's doing a fantastic job. But at first, I thought that was surprising because it almost gives it the feel of a memoir. I really hope that she didn't go through what this character is going through, because if she did, oh my goodness. Rachel is just going through a transformation of unlearning really toxic beliefs that her mother has like instilled in her. Her mother essentially makes her associate being skinny and controlling her food with love. Her mother also was like super upset when she told her that she's bisexual. She has like a mental breakdown and she talks about feeling so much guilt about being who she is, and that just makes me so freaking sad. She's laughing through the pain. I'm sure as a character, Rachel feels more sad than how it comes off to the reader, because for us, just the way that she speaks about things is so insane. But the content of this book is actually devastating. And then her dad also guilts her, being like, you need to tell your mom that you didn't mean it about like her being bisexual because she won't stop calling me and it's annoying me. I just want to absolute body slam both of these people and be like, stop treating your kid like this. So anyways, I think we're going to stick with milk fed for now. I'm going to finish my coffee, make some breakfast, and then I asked my Patreons where we should read. Either go to the park or to the pool, and they're treating us very well today because they said to go to the pool, which is amazing because it's supposed to be like 99 degrees today. It's not that hot right now because it's still the morning. It is 10:20. So we're going to eat really fast, probably make some pool snacks, and then we're going to go. And I'm just going to lay there and listen to Milk Fed and probably cry and laugh at the same time. It's now cozy hobby time. This has been the best day. Can I just say, when my Patreons control my day, I would have my Patreons control my every single day because this is such a fire day. I just got back from Target, which I didn't show you because there were so many people in Target today, which was surprising. Like, it was noon on a Friday and yet the place was swarmed. We just picked up like some food stuff, and then I am going to be transitioning my closet from like my winter clothes to my summer clothes. I like to do that because it feels like you're getting new clothes, but you don't have to buy anything. And it just helps to have like more room in my dresser drawers and like my closet and stuff like that. Because one thing about me, I hate putting my clothes away. I hate doing laundry. So if I can just make it a little bit more easier and like organized, it really helps, but also it feels like you're getting new clothes when you take out your summer clothes after not seeing them for like 6 to 8 months, and vice versa. Like when you get to take out your winter clothes, it's just like such a nice seasonal refresh. So that is going to be our like weekend project. I know that once I start that, I'm not going to get it all done today. So anyways, the containers are still sitting in my car because I didn't feel like bringing those up. I was so hungry. We snacked on some chips with street corn dip. Oh my gosh, it was so delicious. And then I also had some soup for lunch. Is it 99 degrees out? Yeah, it is. But you know what? I love soup. I will always be a soup person. Anyways, we are crocheting because that was the choice that was voted on. I'm so excited because I still have like 12 granny squares that I need to catch up on for my genre blanket. This is my little basket that I am keeping them in. I want to try to lay these out a little bit though and just see like when I have enough to make my blanket, which is going to be like 120 to 130. That's usually how many books I read in a year. There's certain genres that like I obviously read a lot more of, like fantasy romance is going to be a big one. That's all of the yellow squares. There's so many yellow squares. And then I've been reading a lot more romance this year, like either dark romance or contemporary romance, because cowboy romances are my favorite thing in the whole world. So I do have like a lot of pinks and yellows. And so I'm trying to figure out what like color pattern I want to go with, or like I'm trying to figure out how I want to organize the granny square colors for my blanket. There's a couple options that I've been thinking about. One of them is like grouping the colors. So the colors that I'm going to have the least amount, which will probably be like green. Like I have one for litfic. I have another color for horror. I have another color for like YA. It's usually YA fantasy or like YA fantasy romance, but I like to have that separate from my other fantasy romance. Those are going to be the colors that there's the least of. So this is like one option. I will pop up a Pinterest picture of what I'm thinking about. So that way it would be like the genres I've read kind of like the least of, but I still have colors will be in the middle. Then you do kind of like a square around it with colors that you have more of, and you keep going. And that way my yellow, which I'm going to have the most of for fantasy romance, I can do like along the outer edge and I'll have a bunch of squares of that color. So that would like make sense. Or I started incorporating, I love the blue ones. The blue ones look so good. I think that blue is fantasy, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, that's a green one, but these look so freaking cute. I'm actually obsessed. But I started incorporating, they don't mean anything different, but like the way I started was doing the same color for the inside of the flower petals are white, and then the genre color is the actual like granny square portion of it on the outside. But then yesterday I started incorporating some white for the granny square portion, and I did the genre color of the petals of the flower. I thought that this might be cool because then I could alternate. That way I could just do not grouping the colors in any specific order. I could just alternate between colored granny square, white granny square with the colored flower, colored granny square, you know what I mean? And that way that will be like another option. I don't know. I'm just like very excited. I'm also very excited to just like use this blanket and take pictures of it and have it be so cute and vibey. But sewing all of these granny squares together, I will not be well. I'm gonna need to listen to a lot of really banger audiobooks while I'm doing that, because the sewing portion of crocheting is probably my least favorite. And you'll also notice on most of these I have not tied in my ends because again, it's sewing. So we're gonna do borders on these, and then we have like so many that we need to continue just to catch up on. We're gonna keep listening to Milk Fed for now, and then if I do get just like tired of listening to that book, I'll switch to the third Gilmore Girl. But I think we only have like 30 to 40 minutes left of Milk Fed, so we will be able to finish her. We're at 82%, so very close to the end. In this last section, Rachel is really like accepting her sexuality and accepting how she feels about Miriam, because it's so much more than Miriam just like showing her that she doesn't have to eat in this like crazy restrictive way. There's a lot of parallels. I think it's really interesting how Melissa Broder tied in religion to eating. And like in the summary that we read together, it had said that counting calories has become her religion. But then Miriam is a very like Orthodox Jewish person and comes from a family that's very Orthodox Jew. And so they are very traditional. And when Rachel starts hanging out with them, she gets exposure to that. But then it's also teaching her like, she felt like Miriam's family loved her unconditionally for just being who she was. They were sitting down to like have meals together for like this whole weekend. It was a really pivotal moment in the plot for Rachel's character because she was not used to that. Her family and her mother particularly was always so critical of meal times, and meal times like weren't something to be celebrated. They were something to be extremely mindful of and like controlling over. And this was just people sitting down, gathering together, eating a meal, celebrating each other. They were happy to start to get to know Rachel. And that moment I think was really pivotal for her to realize, I am not my calorie intake. Like I am not what I eat. I'm my own person. And then the other big piece of this is I think the connection between appetite and sexuality, because Rachel has felt like she has to hold back her sexual appetite as well as her hunger appetite. And now that she's letting her hunger appetite go, she's letting her sexual appetite go as well, and just like be free. That's what I mean by let go. It's just like be free with those things, because now she's being so much more forward with Miriam. And that's complicated because Miriam and her religion and her family are not the most accepting of like bisexuality or lesbianism. Is that what you call it? Lesbianism as a noun? Just overall amazing gayness. And so it's been like a really interesting journey, and also seeing her, the way that her thoughts have transformed over this period. I'm really excited to see where this goes. I'm scared it's going to be heartbreaking, but I don't feel like Melissa Broder is going to give us like a tough ending. I feel like this all is going to conclude with our characters remaining really changed. And I'm hoping that her and Miriam like continue down the path that they're on, because I'm obsessed with them. And I love how Miriam is helping Rachel so much more than she even knows. Like this isn't something that Rachel is speaking openly about. It's just Rachel going through this internal transformation, and Miriam is that person for her. And it's so good. The moments that Rachel had with Miriam's mom of realizing that she felt unconditionally loved, even though she had just met these people, just because of how kind they were and accepting of her and not like criticizing or judging her. And then also there's one moment when Rachel's like, I'm going to dress like, you know, to emphasize the fact that I'm skinnier than Miriam, because she talks about Miriam's like body shape quite a bit internally in her head, and she likes it, but she has this like toxic moment that was triggered from her mother being like, let me just show off that like I'm skinny or whatever. And Miriam walks in and she goes, oh my gosh, you look so great. You haven't really worn something like that around me before. And Rachel has this moment where she's like, in that moment, I love and appreciate her so much, because like that's not something that anyone has ever said to me before. Everyone has always been extremely critical of Rachel's body. We have just finished Milk Fed. You know, I was going back and forth for a second about whether or not I wanted to rate it 4 or 5 stars, but the way that since I started that book yesterday, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it, and every time I picked it up, I had such a wonderful time. 5 stars, like 100%. I'm also like going to get the physical copy of the book if I do find it in a bookstore. So I'm like, these are all 5-star feelings. Like, why am I being critical about what I want my rating to be? It's 5 stars. It wasn't the ending I was hoping for, but I knew that something was going to happen where things wouldn't be perfect. However, where Rachel's character ended in the story, I do think it makes sense, and it just leaves you with this feeling of like, it might not be a happily ever after, but it's better than where she started, and it was so fun experiencing that journey with her. Oh my gosh, that was so freaking good. There are a lot of content warnings in that though. Like, please, if you are going to pick it up, you need to be aware of how she speaks about food, because I do think that that could be extremely triggering for a lot of people. And then also her sexuality journey and how it was received or like not well received by her parents, and like that relationship I think could also be triggering. Oh my gosh, it was so freaking good. So now I'm waiting for, last night I was listening to the third Gilmore Girl like we talked about, but I fell asleep and the audiobook kept going because I forgot to put a timer on my thing. And whenever I have to change my chapter on Libby, it takes forever to like buffer and load, and I have to like close out the app 3 times. I'm on chapter 3, I think, of the third Gilmore Girl. I'm gonna switch to this. We basically just did the borders on these 4 squares, and now I'm starting on one of my pink squares. I'm doing pink petals. We have 13 granny squares that we have to do. We're definitely not doing all of them today, but I'm gonna listen to the third Gilmore Girl for a little while, until I feel like I need to get up and move around and stuff like that.
That first audition, but as well prepared as I was also more than a little terrified. None of us had any idea how many judges would be facing.
We're on chapter 8 of the third Gilmore Girl, which is, oh my gosh, 50%. Wow, I didn't think that we were that far into this book, but this one is also only like a 7-hour audiobook. So I knew it wasn't going to take long to get through, but these books are just flying because they're so good, but then I'm like sad that they're over. I'm just in awe of, I hate to say like that Kelly Bishop has lived so many lives, but especially with celebrities, it's like you see them in the things that you watch them in. So for me, like Gilmore Girls, and like that's how I know her, but she had such an incredible career before that, and she was a dancer before she was anything else, and then she was on Broadway, and then she switched over to television and movies, and she did like commercials, and it was really funny because she said that this face doesn't sell soap. They would only book her for like, her first commercial was a vacuum commercial where they only showed like her legs and her feet, and she was like dancing around the carpet, which is so funny because it speaks to her dancing background more than like her acting talent that she was trying to cultivate. And then she was in a second commercial where she was a dancer for like deodorant that they were trying to sell, which is just so freaking funny. She also like has had so many affairs, and she talks about it so casually. She also talks about how she's living in New York when she like first started her career, and she was dancing and on Broadway and all of those things. And she talks about how she bought like a penthouse apartment for $13,000 in New York City that had a view of the Empire State Building. Bruh, what do you mean? What are you even talking about, Kelly? What are you even talking about? And then her husband at the time like gambled and got them in a financially bad spot, and they lost that apartment. And she was like, I was devastated. I loved that apartment so much, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, girl, because now she can afford it. I mean, she's rich AF at this point, but like for $13,000, it's so insane. I can't even wrap my mind around that, because I'm trying to buy a house in Arizona and it's 4,000 times that price. Like, I don't even, it's so crazy. That was in like the 1960s, I think she said. So anyways, I am not typically a nonfiction person. There's certain books that have really like impacted me. I've read them for like career development that they've like wanted us to read. I've read a lot of memoirs. I think last year I listened to Tom Felton's memoir, and I loved that one so much. And then I actually just pulled this off of my shelf because I got this last year. I think this came out last year. Ina Garten's Be Ready When Luck Happens memoir. I didn't know who Ina was. I didn't know who the Barefoot Contessa was at all. And then TikTok got me on like cooking talk. I am still to this day obsessed with TikToks and like clips from her like cooking show. I feel like a lot of cooking shows now are extremely overstimulating. Like I could never watch Top Chef or like any of the really competitive cutthroat whatever. Like I just want to listen to a little stay-at-home cutie person cooking dinner for her friends, hosting like dinner parties and like weekend parties and brunches for her like rich girlfriends in the Hamptons, waiting for, what's her husband's name? Oh my gosh, I can't remember, but they're so freaking cute together and I love them so much. Jeffrey? Yeah. She's like, I'm going to cook this chicken for Jeffrey because every Friday we have chicken together, and it's just like the most comforting thing. And I don't know, maybe it's because like I grew up in New England, and so she just reminds me of like so many New England grandmas and like moms and like my friends' moms. Like I just associate her with, this is who I know, and so she's really comforting to me. So anyways, we've gone from talking about Kelly Bishop to a completely different person. I also haven't read this yet, but the audiobooks for the third Gilmore Girl and Ina Garden's Be Ready When Luck Happens, they literally arrived at within days of each other. And so I do have this on my like Libby holds, and I want to get to it. I'll probably get to it this month, to be honest, because now I'm just like in a memoir type of mood. With Kelly Bishop, I feel like I have been like sitting here, sipping on my coffee, crocheting, sitting across from her while she just like talks to me and tells me about her life. This is like a kind of content warning about abortion. I'm not gonna get like super into it, but like she's very open about her experience. She's very candid about it. I'm gonna keep sitting here across from my friend Kelly, and she's just gonna keep telling me about her life, and I'm having a wonderful time. I'm not gonna start this in this vlog because my Patreons told me that I need to finish books that I've already started. So we're going to do that. I think once we finish, how much longer do we have here? Once we finish the third Gilmore Girl, like that will be the last book that we read if we can finish this. I've been listening to it on 2.15 speed, and we have about an hour and a half left. Where's my third one? I've only made 3 granny squares so far, and I'm realizing that I need to read more horror because it's this like dark purpley indigo color that I think is so freaking pretty, and I love how it looks with the orange center because they're complementary colors. I'm tired of making pink and yellow squares. Even though I love reading romance and I love reading fantasy romance, I just want more variety, and I really want to read more horror. Also, the couple horror books that I've read recently have been so freaking good that I'm like, okay, if we want to do this color more, all we have to do is read more horror. The other color I'm excited to do for the third Gilmore Girl, I don't have a lit fit color. I just have like an other category, which is green. I get to do 3 green squares, which I'm really excited about. Well, 3 including this one, which we haven't touched or started yet. Is it a weird motivator that I want to read different genres so that I have more variety of color in my genre blanket? Does your genre blanket control your reading, or does your reading control your genre blanket? Because I feel like I have flip-flopped in how I've looked at it, but now working on my granny squares, I'm like, wait. We are finally getting to the Gilmore Girls part of things. We are at 65%. I knew going into this that she was going to speak about her whole career because obviously she's had like a very long and successful career. Also, she was in Dirty Dancing, which, listen, I've only watched Dirty Dancing once, maybe twice, and then I've seen like scenes from it like here and there. I want to rewatch it now. 65%, we're getting into the meat and potatoes, like what's probably going to be my favorite part because Gilmore Girls was obviously on air for so long. There's like 7 or 8 seasons of it. The first 3 are the best. Listen, before Rory goes to college, the best seasons are right there. But I loved Emily's character always, like throughout the whole thing. And every time I rewatch it, I love her character throughout all of the seasons, even if I don't like Rory after season probably 2, and then Lorelai, especially at the end, like the ending seasons of Lorelai, she is a different character. When they switched the writer, it was game over. Anyways, Besties, please excuse the hair. She's been to the pool. She's been under hats multiple times today. She's looking a little bit crazy. But we do have news. We finished the third Gilmore Girl. I was trying so hard not to sob on my walk. The end of the book is so emotional. Kelly goes through some toxic relationships. Not toxic, but just toxic. And like not great for her or anybody involved. And then when she finally meets and marries her husband, Lee, and they're married for like, I do not know exactly how long, she didn't really say, but like I'm assuming 35 plus years. And when it gets to the end of his life, he had 6 cancers. He had 6 cancers. And she talks about like losing him. Oh my freaking God, my heart. We had to put on our Stars Hollow Gilmore Girls shirt for our walk. Obviously, we had to represent, and to everybody who was looking at me, no one was looking at me, but for everybody who noticed that I was walking and like holding back tears, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. That's all I'm saying. I don't typically rate memoirs because I feel like it's weird to put like a star rating on people's memories and like people's lives. Obviously, I know that it like helps the author to like give high ratings. That's a 5-star book for me. So I'm going to rate it as 5 stars because it is what it is, even though that feels a little bit weird in my heart to like rate someone's experiences. That is the day, friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This was so much fun. If you made it this far, leave a little star in the comments down below if you would like to let me know that you were here for Stars Hollow for our third Gilmore Girl. I will catch you in the comments and I will see you in my next one very soon. Toodles.